cracking Spanish mackerel.
And cook up a storm.
Whoa!
But whose dish will wow the judges?
Yeah, I think the contest is on.
Playing to win. I need to win.
Val and Nathan are in the Pyrenees, the mountain range separating France and Spain. The boys have come to the heart of this rocky border area. They're near the town of Lourdes. The Pyrenees stretch for over 400 kilometres from the Bay of Biscay in the west to the Med in the east. Today they're fishing for wild brown trout.
I know there's trout here, I've seen trout here, and I'm going to catch one, it's that simple.
Nathan rustles up a meaty mountain-sized snack.
That is an incredibly manly snack. You could eat that till you exploded.
And the cook-off produces a real conundrum for the judges.
I like the beans, I like the pasta, I like the trout.
This could be our first draw.
The boys are up before dawn to meet their guide Gregory at the Ness River.
Very beautiful here.
Yeah. It's a little cloudy, but
It's good for today?
it's good for today, for this morning, I think.
But we're doing different things today, yeah?
Yeah. You will try fly fishing, and you will try a special technique.
Okay.
Their prime target here is the wild brown trout. It has a pale underside and distinctive rusty spots. Its flesh is meaty and succulent. Brown trout were introduced into these mountain streams as an extra source of food for shepherds in the Middle Ages.
Well, look at this house, beautiful, isn't it?
It looks promising. There's lots of little fast runs, the kind of places that trout like. There's lots of little deep pools of trees hanging over the top. This is looking very, very trouty.
I'm really excited about this morning. It's a lovely, lovely area to be fishing. And I think Gregor really knows what he's doing. So there's a chance, using the local method, that I might actually catch something.
There's a lot of trout here. The Pyrenees is famous for them. Gregoire says the fishing's a bit difficult at the moment, but if I find a quiet place and go into my zone, I'm pretty sure I'll get something.
I've got something up my sleeve if it all goes wrong.
Val's determined to try fly fishing. But Nathan's opted to use the local method, a much longer and stiffer rod with larvae as bait. Val's using an artificial fly to lure the fish onto his hook. It's a classic method, and it's all about the casting.
I know there's trout here, I've seen trout here, and I'm going to catch one, it's that simple.
Nathan's Pyrenean method is a more straightforward technique, which doesn't need the same skill in casting.
It's not easy, this fishing. It may look easy, but it's not. The actual technique is you got to swing the line like a pendulum, and then you got to just plop it in front of the trout's nose. It looks very, very simple, but actually it's not. It's all technique, so it's actually quite hard. But it's good fun. Hopefully, I can catch a fish.
Val's fishing downstream from the others. Determination is etched on his face.
In a little pool like this, fishing it quite carefully as I have, I would have expected to have had a trout by now.
The fly fisherman is a great fisherman. He do as well as he can, and he do it very well. But it's difficult because it's very cold conditions for August, and the trouts are sleeping today.
While Val prowls the river, Nathan is fixed on the left bank.
Even this fisherman, he does everything very well. He should have taken 2 or 3 trouts for sure.
So I've been fishing now for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I'm starting to wonder whether I'm going to actually catch a fish. But you know what, I think I might have to resort to my other tactic.
Nathan has a secret plan to guarantee he hooks a decent trout.
I'm going to catch a fish soon. On. See, I told you it wouldn't take long. Don't tell. Bit easy, isn't it?
So it's a fish farm, and technically he's cheating, but at least he's hooked something.
Val wouldn't have liked it here anyway. It's far, far too easy for him. But I tell you what, I reckon I've caught some fish, and I don't think he has. And now at least we got something to eat.
Meanwhile, Val's getting desperate. He's now ditched his fancy fly fishing in favour of the local tried and tested method.
Oh, yes!
And it's worked.
Aha! I got a Pyrenean trout. I put it right under the bank, and silver kind of lilac with tiny little bright orange spots. That's a beautiful trout. It's legal,
Yes.
but I don't like to kill trout that small. I want something a bit bigger. Where the hell have you been?
I've been fishing.
I smell a rat, you know.
I was upstream, I caught these 5.
Upstream, I've caught some of the trout out of this stream, and they don't look like that, mate. You've been to a trout farm, haven't you?
Okay, you caught me out. They're good though, they got 5.
Time for brunch. It's Nathan's turn, and he's come well prepared.
Chicken livers on toast, Val? Fancy that?
Yeah, I'd love that.
What are you up to?
I'm doing a picture of you.
Okay. Now the first thing you need to do is to make the shallot garlic reduction. Now the whole point of a man snack is that it has to be tasty. And this, I think, is a lovely dish. And it was actually in New York where I first tasted it. There's a chef called April Bloomfield, and she gave me this dish and it just blew my mind. So basically I've stolen her recipe.
Ow! Look at this. I'm out of here. I've just sat on an ant's nest. Ow! Great place to sketch, on an ant's nest.
Are you alright?
Yeah, I'm absolutely fine. I've just got a couple of nips on my butt.
You shouldn't laugh, mate. Need a good glug of olive oil. In with your shallots and your garlic. Not too much colour on them. You want to soften them for about 2 minutes, just to take the edge off them. Now port, Madeira, probably about a cup of each. Obviously you have to be very careful when mixing your alcohols, but port and Madeira, they work really, really well together. And with chicken livers, they just give this lovely sweetness from the port, a nice little bitterness from the Madeira, and the aroma is just fantastic. We want to take that down until it's like a syrup. Next, chicken livers. What you want to look for with chicken livers, if there's any sort of a green membrane or veins inside or really bloody parts, you want to cut them out. They won't harm you, but they'll be a little bit bitter. That's about as far as you want to take the port and Madeira. Nice syrupy texture.
He quickly sautés the chicken livers.
Now this is about 1.5 minutes. A bit of pepper. In fact, a lot of pepper. And then we've got some salt as well. And then very, very quickly, you want to turn the livers over. Madeira reduction straight back into the pan. And that smells amazing. I'm going to let them cool for 2 or 3 minutes, just while I do the bread for the toast.
Big slices of chunky farmhouse loaf go into the meat juices.
Chop through the livers and chop the parsley into it as well. Now it may look a mess, but I can assure you that is tasty.
He spreads the chopped liver and parsley onto the toast and voila, ready to eat.
Oh, man. That is sensational. That is an incredibly manly snack. You could eat that till you exploded.
Earlier, the big fish weren't biting, but Nathan hooked some farm trout, so today's judges won't go hungry. Now they're off in search of the perfect local ingredients to go with their trout.
Now people might think that trout and honey is a bit of a challenge, but A, I like a challenge, and B, this producer knows how to make honey.
Nathan's come to meet local food producer Malou.
After you. Really excited. Going to see the hives. Bit nervous, but I'm protected. I'll be fine.
She looks after around 10 million bees from her mountainside home.
How many hives have we got, Lily?
I've got 200 hives.
200 hives.
That's a lot of honey, around 2,000 kilos in a good year.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So these bee workers
Yeah.
and brood larvae in a cell. I try to find the bee queen.
In each hive, there's just one queen bee. She is the only fertile female and can lay up to 2,000 eggs a day.
That's the queen.
Oh wow, there is the queen.
Yeah.
Don't want to wind her up. So where are we going next?
In my shop.
Taste
to
some
taste honey.
Nathan wants to sample the produce of these busy bees.
I make vinegar from honey, chestnut honey,
Okay.
and mead.
First, Malou's mead, a drink made of fermented honey and water.
Four. I tasted a few of them. Party time.
The first one this year.
Yeah. It's really good honey. I'm going to cook with the honey, the vinegar and the mead, and hopefully that'll be enough to beat Valentine Warner.
Val's getting experimental too. Soft fruit and freshwater fish is a traditional local combination, but not well known outside this region. Val's come to a farm tucked away in the High Pyrenees where Estelle grows raspberries.
Can I pick a raspberry?
Yes, of course.
Look at those. My first Pyrenean raspberry. Oh, that's very delicate. Why are Pyrenean raspberries so good?
Oh, there are many reasons. The water is very rich with the nitrogen,
Yeah.
potassium.
Yeah, so lots of minerals.
Yes,
You've got a good strong sun here.
yes, too.
But it comes with problems, I see, because what's all this for?
This is electricity
Yeah.
for the deer.
For deer.
Yeah.
Is there many deer here?
A lot.
And they like raspberries.
They love fruits.
Fish and raspberries. Cooking. Do you eat them with trout?
Yes, some are cooking with.
The great thing about these raspberries is that they're sweet, but they're not too sweet. Look at these, they're dark, swollen, fat, plump, juicy raspberries. I know the Brits love their strawberries, so do I, but just don't take my raspberries away from me.
Estelle grows 7 types of raspberries, which fruit from mid-June until the first frosts of November.
Merci Estelle. Thank you for your wonderful raspberries.
Thank you.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Foraging over, let the cook-off begin. Today the boys are cooking in the home of local foodie Patrice, who will be judging their efforts along with fisherman Gregory and honey producer Malou. Nathan's trout forms the centrepiece of both today's dishes. He's making trout sausage served with haricot tarbé, the local white beans, and honey. Val's trout will be smoked, served with raspberries and macaroni.
And I'm going to butterfly my trout.
He starts by preparing his fish, which he's going to hot smoke.
The aim is to keep the trout whole, but kind of take the spine out, so the whole thing kind of opens out like a flannel kind of thing, really. Like a butterfly, not a flannel. Silly me. When you're going to smoke a fish, you need to brine it. The salt and the sugar mixed in the water actually seals the outside of the fish. It seasons it, but it slightly kind of burns the outside of the flesh to keep all the moisture in the fish while it's smoking.
For the brine, he uses 4 tablespoons each of brown sugar and coarse sea salt and about a litre of water.
And my fish is going to go in this for barely more than 5 minutes.
Nathan begins his sausage making by frying smoked streaky bacon.
Then I'm going to make a reduction using my leeks, my shallots, garlic and thyme. Now if you control the heat right in your pan, you don't burn the oil and you don't burn the fat, so you can use it to actually cook the rest of your stuff in. So we've got the olive oil and the bacon fat there, which will bring all the flavours together. So the bacon's crispy enough now, so I'm going to take that out and let that cool down.
He adds mead, cider and white wine.
And what we'll do is reduce that down till you've got a nice syrupy consistency. All the liquids are reduced in here, so I'm going to let that cool down. It's very important when you're making anything with fish is to make sure everything is cold.
That's because fish can overcook so easily. He dices the skinned and boned trout fillets and blends them with bread soaked in milk, making sure to squeeze out any excess liquid. And an egg to bind the mixture.
Now what we're looking for is a texture that's not smooth, it's still quite coarse, because we still want to see that it's actually trout that we're using.
He adds cream and the honey, leek, shallot and garlic reduction with chopped smoky bacon.
Then carefully just fold that together.
The final element, fresh parsley. It's time to form the sausage.
And try and make sure it's quite compact before you start rolling. You want an air hole there.
The mixture is onto sheets of cling film. It's important to completely seal it.
The best thing to do is to tie one end and then turn it around. So we're looking for quite tight. And there you have it. Once the water comes to almost a simmer, put your sausage into the water, and I reckon it's going to take about 25 minutes to poach.
Meanwhile, Val's using fresh fruit and red wine vinegar to make his own raspberry vinegar.
Delicious with fruit. This is just going on a low heat until the raspberries collapse. Nothing complicated than that.
When the fruit has broken down slightly, Val seals it to produce a smooth liquid. Val's trout needs to come out of its brine bath.
So the time has come to smoke my little trouts. Now, I'm putting out flesh facing up. I don't want it to take a direct hit from the smoke. I want it to be quite light smoke. Lid on. It's going to be about 5 or 6 minutes.
My sausage water. It's been in there for minutes. When you get that cool down, to stop it from kicking and firm it up. The water is just down. Beef stew.
That stew will be made with local haricot tarbay, but any white beans will do.
Now I'm going to sweat off these shallots for about a minute and a half just to get rid of the rawness.
He adds a couple of spoonfuls of honey.
It starts to caramelise a little bit. I don't want to take it too far.
A glug of honey vinegar for acidity and a good splash of mead for sweetness.
Once the vinegar and the mead is reduced, you start to get this sort of lovely bubbliness. I know that's ready for the cream.
White beans are a famous product of the Pyrenees.
As soon as the beans are in there, turn them over a few times. I tell you, I'm not going to cook it any more than that.
He adds fresh tomatoes and flat parsley.
And that will just help balance the richness and the sweetness of the whole dish. A little bit of heat, that's enough.
Meanwhile, he's cooked his macaroni and now prepares the sauce.
I'm just smashing my hazelnuts. I want them to have a little bit of presence. About 50 grams of butter. What I want to do is for the butter to bubble away but not burn, for the hazelnuts to slightly brown, and then I'm going to leave it to sit, and the butter will start taking the hazelnut.
Then he sautés lardons of bacon before adding some of his raspberry vinegar.
And it sticks on, caramelizes a bit.
He combines it with his cooked pasta, garlic, creme fraiche and a strong local cheese. Nathan's trout sausage is ready to slice and to finish off in a little oil.
This has got a lovely texture. And that's the colour I want. Spot on.
Time to plate up! Val's serving his smoked trout on a bed of Pyrenean macaroni cheese with hazelnuts, croutons, tomatoes, yellow raspberries, parsley and tarragon buds. Nathan's trout sausage comes with white beans in a honey cream sauce, fresh tomatoes and parsley.
You want a piece of fruit?
Yes.
Now to feed those hungry judges.
Bi, au nez.
don't recognize that.
Bi.
Oh yes, of
Ah,
course, yes.
ah,
The
yes.
truth with honey.
Voilà.
C'est bon.
Well, I like the crunch of the
nuts.
nuts.
Yes. Truth is very. It's a surprise. It's good.
While Malou, Gregory and Patrice deliberate, Val and Nathan taste each other's dishes.
You cook that so well, that trout. It's bang on.
You know when you eat something, it's totally different to everything you've ever eaten before.
Yeah.
This is really original. That's the word I'm looking for.
If I was being really, really critical of my own food, I'd say the beans were touch undercooked. What can you do?
I put too much vinegar on my bacon and it made the bacon go very tough.
It's too late now, boys.
Bonjour.
The judges are ready with their verdicts.
Bonjour.
You have to tell us which one you think is the best.
I think both of the plates are very good, but definitely I prefer the sausage trout with bean, in spite of the bean, which are a little hard.
That's 1-0 to Nathan.
I like the beans, I like the pasta, I like the truth. For me, the same for all. Two is good. Many works, bravo.
Patrice can't separate the dishes. He gives them 1 vote each. So it's all up to Malou.
Wow, do you know what this means, Nate? This could be our first draw.
My preference? Sausage truth. I prefer with honey and hydromel, perhaps.
That's her mead.
Fair and square. I thought there was hope with that taster.
So Nathan pulls off another win, making the series score 4-all. Join us next time on the Spanish coast when the boys will be up at dawn on the hunt for squid.
Hello, boys and girls. Can you see the squid?